the imagination is one of the tools in a very busy toolbox for ways to move forward. And sometimes behavior is the way to move forward, like externalized behavior. For instance, let's say somebody whose issue that they're dealing with in the moment is about boundaries and not being able to set boundaries and really struggling to say no. And, just to oversimplify the matter, I'll say, okay, that's somebody who as a child was never allowed to say no, or always had to obey and be a good boy or be a good girl, etc. And now I can't say no. And my inner child is, really screaming about that because my children say no. And then I get mad at my children for saying what I couldn't say, etc. So let's imagine that scenario. You won't make that better by practicing on your children necessarily. That there's a new behavior that was not allowed to develop inside you when you were 5, 6, 7 years old. It's never ever too late, ever. At 73 years of age, if you like, you can practice the difficult art of setting boundaries and saying no when you really mean no, that I don't want to play with you now. I want my own time, or whatever that might be. Or I don't want to do that job. That's not in my job description, right? Yeah. Etc. Or not now because I'm really tired and I need the rest. Saying no, allowing yourself to disappoint the other person. Because when you say no, you will disappoint the other person and they'll go, sad. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a practice. Now we're talking about what's going to allow your inner child to develop and expand, you to develop and expand, to move past that developmental arrest, is a practice, little by little, to learn to feel more confident in the art of saying, I don't want to go to that place right now. Okay? That's a behavior. And until you behave it and say it to other humans, you're not there yet. You won't get the full satisfaction. You can imagine it, which is like a runner imagining the race before they run the race. It empowers the race, but you still got to run the race. No one got no one got the Olympic bronze medal or whatever by imagining themselves running the race at home.
Well, good point. Good point. So,
but they use the imagination. They use it. Okay? The coach will say, "Please imagine that race before you do it." Right? You use it.
Yes, and you have to imagine yourself winning. They say, unless you do your training, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna finish the racing time. They will remove the flag. That has happened to me actually. They removed the flag. They took away the medals, and then I just came last. But it's no, unless you go out there and you do the work, then it's, I guess you started bringing this up. Unless you do it, then you can have the most amazing insight, but you need to be disciplined in the way in which you say no. I really need to do this, or else I'm not going to make that change.
It depends on what the where is the developmental arrest? Where were you wounded as a child relative to the sort of the dilemma, the relationship issue that you're working with right now? Because some things are inside needs, that it requires a practice, that requires a follow-up. If I don't practice, setting better boundaries, or if I don't practice expressing my true vocation, if I don't practice that, then it isn't here. That's true for your inside needs. Then there's also outside needs, that usually that's for wounding that is much, much earlier, from the early baby stage, where it's a nurture. What would help you to then heal and grow is a nurturance that comes to you from the outside. And your task is to check out that the nurturance is safe and trustworthy, and then to allow yourself to receive. And so there is a place for receiving, not just it's not. That's where the metaphor of the athlete doesn't apply. Okay, not to the outside needs. And so, you know, as a therapist, when somebody doesn't want to do their practice, I mean, there's so many things to say about it. Sometimes, I mean, we all have a kind of a resistance because it's scary, and overwhelming, and also there's all kinds of things that come into play, like you know, there's that resentment that why should I do it now? I should have been helped to do it when I was 7, and then we get stuck, you know. All of those things that create the resistance. Then the only way to move then is, instead of being, you know, waving the finger, you didn't do your homework, you know, it's really dialoguing with the resistance, because that has an important voice. You know, what is holding? How come you forgot? You know, what is your relationship to that you forgot to follow up with the thing that you said that you wanted to do, right? That you wanted to practice setting boundaries, but you forgot. Let's look at why you did forget, because in itself, that's its own inner child journey.